Hi beautiful souls, welcome. We're protected in this space. I have cleared the energy. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. We'll wear the armour of God. My name is Soulstar. Hi. Let's find out what our Holy Spirit, angels and ancestors want us to know today for the greater good of all. When life feels unclear, especially when it does, I trust that I am always being led from within, from our divine. So one of the big messages that I'm getting through today is that you are feeling like you don't belong, you don't know where you belong, you don't know what it is that you're meant to be doing. Divine's showing me that exactly where you are right now is where you're meant to be. It's just at that point where everything seems so, like there's so much that's when we're about to hit that point where everything soars. But it's like, we get tested on all these levels that, like I said, there's a lot coming through on this, that we're all being tested majorly right now to see if all the paths that we have taken before, and we've learned a lot of the lessons from them, and we're very mindful of the lessons that we've learned because it's in our everyday practice now. But these lessons, they are, in whatever way that means to you, they're going to start coming back up a little bit just to test you to see, have you got to where you was meant to get? Have you now understanding? Can you now use your discernment? There's something coming through again about daughter. This has been coming up quite a lot this week, but what I'm getting from that is either that you've got a daughter that you're in protected mode of now and everything's going to be great. You are protected in this space. They want you to call in your guides, call in your angels, call in Holy Spirit, ask what it is that you're meant to be doing in this situation, and then trust that God has got everything in control for you. Like I said, the feeling of not belonging and wanting to, not wanting to, feeling like you don't belong, that's because you're a light worker, that's because you're a healer, an oracle, on a divine level, because you're starting to have a remembrance of what it is that you're here to do. The saying that true love starts within. So within, so is so without. So that means that basically whatever goes on the inside is what's going to start flowing. The saying that you've learned more from the failures that you've had, and then, like I said, you learn more from failure than from success. Don't let that stop you. Because the saying that each time that you feel that you've failed, you've actually learned something amazing in that time. Although it doesn't feel like it sometimes it feels like there's a lot of lessons and there's a lot of things going on that we don't have time to stop to sit and ponder on what we actually achieved in each moment. I like to sit and look back. The only time I look back is to see how far I've gone. I like to, when each moment comes up, when a situation happens, I ask, what would my higher self do in this situation? Because not everything deserves a response. I like to sit here and think, what would I have done before, and how much more have I grown from all the other situations, whether it be family, friends, work, life, whatever it is. If you can look back now and say, like I say this quite a lot, I look back now and I think, wow, I would never have imagined myself being here today doing this, because I never had a massive belief in myself. I remember as a child I had gifts. I could see things that was going to happen, and then obviously when they did, when I discussed what I'd dreamt or what I'd seen, and then obviously it happened, I was called a freak, I was called all sorts. So as a young child of like maybe no more than 10, I learnt to not speak about things. So speaking for me has always been a major thing. I've always been quite loud around people that, I believe that I loved. But I never was one to have ever said that I'd be sat in front of a camera now, being able to speak my truth, being able to share my story where others can feel free and safe to be able to share their story. I always believed that, you know, I was never good enough, and as when I believed all that all the time, I always kept myself in that belief. You know, because of why would people want to hear my story? Why would people want to be on this journey with me? You know, I've only been healing myself for the last, I'd say 5 years, because I had a quite an ordeal in a relationship that really got me to see how my childhood had really arranged my life. And I'm very grateful to this person now. Obviously, you know, that gratitude is because I now know that everybody that comes into our path is either a lesson or a blessing. So I have so much gratitude of the fact that they got me to see how truly strong that I was, because if I could go through everything that I went through, that I can get through anything. The speaking part has always been a big part, because obviously I was always told to keep quiet about things, to not share what I thought because of what other people would think. And Divine's saying to me now, this is where I now get to share my story and get out of my comfort zone, because, you know, there's a lot of people that are actually going through what I went through. And like, I lost everybody. I lost literally everybody. You know, family believe that I am the weirdo of the family, the black sheep of the family, whatever. It's because I don't listen to what other people were saying to me. You know, I literally got to a point in life where I chose to rather be alone than be around people that belittled me. And like I said, from being a child, I had people telling me that what I believed and what I knew was wrong. And that always put shame on the family, because nobody wanted to hear these things, nobody wanted to listen. And I'd get emotional and I'd cry, and then I was told that, you know, I needed to sort myself out, because why should I be emotional? Why should I feel hurt that people were saying things to me all the time? Especially when it's people that you really truly love. You think that they're going to support you, you know. And I had a lot of, you know, I lost my parents when I was quite young, and I always wanted to speak to family about my family, about my parents. And every time I brought them up, because I didn't understand a lot of things that had gone on, and I needed to speak about it with people that I loved, that people that shared the same, well, I thought shared the same experience as myself. So I thought that they'd be able to help me, like, deal with whatever was going on in my mind, but nobody wanted to speak about it. It was quite hushed under the carpet. And I could never get over that. So every time I got with my family, I got emotional. And like I say, I was told that the sensitivity needed to be sorted out. Now I've learned from the Divine that my sensitivity is what has kept me not turning bitter like everybody else. That it is something that needs to be spoken about. And that the more we try and bury it down, the more it's going to come up and hurt us in the future. I now know that I can share my story, because there's others that have gone through very similar lives of myself. But now I understand that these situations that I went through, you know, I learnt so much how to read the room with people. I learnt how to know who was right from wrong, but not that I listened. I'll just state that quite loud, really, because I was a person that never listened to my intuition. I always believed that there was good in everybody, because if there was good in me from where I came from, that there's good in everybody. But that's not always the case, because unless they're ready to do the inner work and to be comfortable with their emotions, they won't heal unless they choose that. And I've always had this inner strength that I didn't know that I had until looking back, how I've got through certain situations. You know, my thing was always, I just wanted everyone to love me. I just wanted to be loved. But I didn't love myself. Because how could I? Because I was always told, you know, that I was never going to amount to anything. I was never going to be. And like I said, I just wanted to come on here and share a bit of my story because, you know, it's my story that's helped me grow and it's helped me get here today. And, you know, it's so good that we can share and, you know, and speak about how we feel. Because speaking about how we feel helps us understand who we are. And now, like I say, I've come to the understanding, you know, I've definitely been shown the understanding of it is because I always just needed to learn to love myself. You know, I see things that, you know, and I know things that when I start to trust myself, I see the patterns of everything now. I can now, like I say, see who to be around and who not to be around. Which at the minute, it's me and my children. You know, I have 6 beautiful children and that I'm truly grateful for. You know, they've been my absolute rock. They all came here with a purpose. They're all absolutely amazing. They're all very gifted, perfect human beings. So grateful. You know, life has not gone without the ups and downs. And it has been, you know, quite a lot. You know, I've had a lot go on in just the short time that I've been here. And now the other half of my life now is where I'm now growing through all of everything that I've been through, that times that I never thought I could get through. You know, Divine helped me see who I truly was again. You know, and first time I picked up my Bible about 5 years ago, I was gifted my Bible when my father died. He gifted it to my mum, but it was always going to be mine. When my mum passed, I received the Bible myself, and this is 30 years this year that I had the Bible. And I've always kept it because it's always been very sentimental. And, you know, I started reading the Bible 5 years ago and it broke my heart. It absolutely broke my heart. I was uncontrollably crying, and that's when I cried out and I said, I need help, I need guidance, I need to know where I'm going. And I was shown it's not about where you're going, it's about where you are right now. And the thing is that we focus so much on the future or the past that we miss the moment. We literally are constantly always living in the past or the future. You know, we rush around in our busy lives and, you know, we never sit and have that time to ourselves. And it's in that time to ourselves, that present moment, the gift that we receive, our intuition, our guidance, our clarity. You know, and this is where I've learnt so much. Everything amplified so loud in my life until it was to a point that I was on my knees. You know, and I never understood the interpretation of, you know, you will go to your knees before you pray. And now that is where I learned the interpretation of I was on my knees and I was calling out, and enough was enough. I knew that I couldn't keep going anymore. I just wanted everything to be peaceful and I just wanted everything to go okay. And no matter how much I tried with certain people to help them, they turned it around on me and created so much damage in my life. But I understood that before I came here, I asked for all this to happen. As hard as that were to accept, I know that challenges in my life is what's built me to become the person that I am today. If it wasn't for the challenges, I wouldn't be here today telling this story. Because it's through all that that's shown me how actually unique that each and every single one of us are. That we're all here on a unique journey to do something, to show and gift something in the present moment at all times. And now I know that my voice is worth hearing. I know that, you know, we are in the right place now exactly at the right time where we're meant to be. So how can we daughter ourselves? And I'm not just saying this as in whether you're male or female, because we all have feminine and masculine brain. A balance of both is where we need to be. This is something else I've learned, that, you know, I was brought up, you're a girl, so the girls do the girl things. This is how I was personally brought up. The boys was boys, there was men, you know, and we each have our own individual role. But what I've learned a lot recently, over the years, is that we need a balance of both. You know, a male should be able to be hurt just as much as a female, because we have both divine masculine and divine feminine. And it's about us learning to surrender to the divine. It's about us having a balance in our mindset. It's about us knowing that we're all individually unique and that we're not meant to be the same as everybody else. We all have a path. You know, each time paths open for us, there is two. There is always two. You know, but each path is designed for us to evolve. So there is no right and wrong. You know, it's each step that we take is designed for us to learn who we are. And some others take longer than others. Like I was, you know, turning 40 when I truly started to remember. I was, you know, like I say, nearly turning 40. So it doesn't matter how old you are, because we're all designed to wake up and to be who we are meant to be when the time is right. We have to go through, like I said, challenges in our life for us to know and understand who we're truly meant to be. So, I had to bloom. I had to open up and learn who I truly was. And each step of my life has got me to do that. And it's got me to now, like I said, be here now in this present moment with you, being able to share my story. And like I said, I believe that my story is so significant. My story is what's got me here today. And today I sit before you, whereas last week I could have never have done this. I always believed that, you know, I always believed that no matter what video that I did, it wasn't the right one. And like Divine showed me, you know, the video will find at least one person who needs to hear your message at the right time. You are always divinely guided. And each moment that you choose you will find what story you need to hear for that moment. I mean, I could share this story now and somebody might not receive it for another 4 years. But it'll be the perfect story that they need to hear, to be shown that no matter what you go through, you choose you and everything will be okay. You can fix you. You are perfectly unique. You are a beautiful soul. We're here for merely a short time, but our soul lives on forever. This is about you understanding that you are perfectly on time, no matter what your time is. This is about you learning to love you, no matter what shapes, sizes that we are, what colour our hair is, you know, whether or not we've just got out of bed, because I get called to get out of bed and do a video sometimes. It's about the message that we can give to others that matters the most. It's about knowing that you're not alone, that there's somebody out there who will resonate with your story and need your guidance. But the fear, once you overcome the fear, is what gets you to where you are. The fear will always hold you back if you allow it to. But if you've got something, no matter what that is to you, that you want to put out there, but you keep believing that you can't do it and you're not good enough for it, you are. If you're getting that thought, then it's perfectly for you. You're meant to shine. You really are meant to shine. God made you within their image. So therefore, you are a creator. You're co-creating with the divine. You're here to experience life on so many levels. You're here to experience who you are, to love yourself, to unite yourself with your creative source. You was perfectly made perfect. There's not a single hair on your head, on your body, that wasn't perfectly designed. And once we see through all the I'm not good enoughs, the more you will see how perfectly beautiful that you are. And you have a story to share. And you will inspire. You will inspire others. Like I say, even if you don't get this message for 4 years, I'm making this message in March 2026. And I was asked to give this message all day. And there's been one thing after another that's been stopping me and holding me back from making this video. But Divine said, are you telling yourself that you can't make the video? Or are you telling yourself that you will get a minute to do so? Once I changed my perspective on that, my perception completely changed. It completely changed. I've found time now to come and do this video. Because I know that, like I said, there is somebody out here that needs to hear this, because now it's time to release the old petals. Because you are a wild rose, and sometimes you have to shed your petals to grow. True love starts within. You are perfectly on time. Step out of your comfort zone. Like I say, healing is happening. You're not broken. Trust the process. So, you want me to read this one for you? I love this deck, the Rose Oracle. Beautiful deck. Truly beautiful. It's been written so beautifully, and it resonates so on such a deep level. So it says, you're not broken. You're a part of the ever-changing nature of life. Ever-changing, ever-changing, ever-changing. Change is your natural state. The rose knows that you were meant to stay, you were not meant to stay the same. To be one single shape, size or way. You're not normal, and that's normal. You're always becoming more and more of who you truly are. Healing is happening every moment of every day. You're returning to your true state every moment of every day. Calling your support team of people who can hold you in that, who can trust in the grace of your natural state. A true healer knows that they're not the one doing the healing, rather, they're holding the vision of the return to wholeness. Knowing that wholeness isn't a stagnant state. When you embrace all parts of life, from the ecstasy to the agony, the joy to the grief, the bloom to the fall, the bud to the rose hip, you realise that healing is always happening, and life is on your side. No one is immune to the polarity of this human experience. The only way through it is to embrace all parts of it. The light and the shadow, and as any healer or intuitive knows, the only way to the light is to embrace the shadow within. The shadow, and sometimes the pain, is a portal to your liberation. You're not broken. You're healing. Healing is happening. Trust in the timing of life. So they want you to repeat this transmission. Healing is happening. Healing is happening. Healing is happening. 3 times. Now this is now where, you know, you are now coming into a time where, like I say, you are now healing. You are releasing the petals. You're telling your story. Once you've shared your story, it can no longer hold you back. Now I've spoke my truth today. I've spoken things that I thought I'd never speak about. I've wrote them down and I've shared them with Divine, and I've spoke with my guides. But today I share my story. Because I know that I'm not the only one that's been out there in this situation where, you know, life happened. But life is always going to happen. How we start to see that each time that life happens, that it's okay. Because we're learning. We're seeing the dark side. Because it's not all love and light. We have to go through the darkness. Just like a seed gets planted into the ground. It doesn't know that there's going to be light when it comes to the top. And it starts to give us beautiful flowers. It just knows that it's in that cold, damp, dark area. And in that cold, damp, dark area is where all the magic happens. It's where you truly, truly grow. And then you reach the top. You know, and then you see your light. And then others admire the light, because then you've grown something truly beautiful. You are like the flowers. You're like the seed. Like God says, have faith the size of a mustard seed. Because it's in that faith and in that knowing that you are safe is where you will be safe. You always have been. Now you have your discernment. Now you know who is telling you the truth. You know who is genuine. You know who are the right people. But in this moment of my life, I'm here to be myself. I'm ready to learn to love myself. I don't need a relationship right now for myself. I'm not saying that I never will, because that's shutting my heart off, because I'm not doing that. I did that too many times. So now my story is that I am healing, learning to love myself, learning to grow, enjoying my beautiful children and my grandchildren. I am now in a place where I truly feel loved. And that started here. Because no matter how many people you have around you, if you don't feel that you love yourself, you will never feel their love. You will always feel you're alone. But you are never alone. You have all your team behind you. They are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, giving you little hints, dropping you little feathers, coins. You know, once you start to see that it's all okay, you will start to see a lot more. It's time to rest my mind and allow peace to take the place of the busyness or boredom. The mind needs quiet to think and find clarity. If I allow my mind to rest, I will have greater clarity and my mind will be sharper. This is the time for a break. I need to take care of myself. Now that is a mantra that I wrote out for myself, and it's a mantra that I say to myself on a daily basis. And this is where I do allow my mind to rest now. And it's in that resting and letting go and giving it to God that I feel like I'm a lot lighter. You know, I'm not in any worry. And when I do worry, I give it to God. You know, this is where God's saying, you know, rest your weary head, because it's okay. you will get the answers that you need. And as you know from all the other bad things that have happened before, they've always turned out to be something good. There's always something good come out of each situation. There always has been. So what good can come out of today's thoughts and feelings? What good can you find within you today that you can be really truly proud of? What three things can you be grateful for today? And one of them is you. That you are perfectly on time. I am truly grateful for your time. If you got this far, I'd like to I'd like you maybe drop in a comment and we can send some hearts. I hope that this resonated with you and that you can find that strength within, because it's in you. You're stronger than you could ever possibly imagine. And I have faith, and I'm sending healing. And just know that you're always going to be okay. I love you. Take care.